Hello there everyone, my name is Nathan Birch. In this video, we're going to work through some potential errors that you may have had in the last video, trying to connect your GitHub repository to your local computer. So let's go ahead and go through a couple errors that you may have seen. So I taught you guys how to use this source control button over here. Unfortunately, there are some bugs with VS Code when you try to add a URL for GitHub using this functionality, using this GUI, this graphical user interface. And then sometimes it'll try to do something and it just won't work. A lot of the time, some examples that I saw, a student would try to do the git push and it would just spin. That little blue bar would just go across the top the whole time without actually changing it because they weren't logged in. So we're going to go through a couple things to help with this. And we're going to use the terminal this time around. So in VS Code, if you just click on terminal and click new terminal, it should open up a terminal window for you. Now I'm going to right click on my folder here and I'm going to hit open in integrated terminal just to make sure that it opens up in the folder that I want it to be open in. So this will basically allow me to run commands in this folder. And so I'm going to run this one right here, git remote -v. And this will show me what GitHub repository I'm connected to. Okay. Now, if I'm not logged in, we'll talk about this here in a sec. If I'm not logged in with my email on my computer, then it's not going to let me save changes to that repository. It'd be like me trying to change your files on Google Drive. It's not going to let me because I'm not you. And so right here, some of the errors that we were having with this source control button over here is that it wasn't actually kicking off that login window. And so what would happen is you could add your changes, you could commit them, you could type in your commit message. This wouldn't be green anymore. So for example, I could come over here, add a commit and say, adding random files for week 10. And then I could hit this check mark. Oh, look at that. Make sure you configure your username and use your email in Git. Okay, so that's a potential error. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to type in git config -- global for my whole computer. User.name equals Nathan Birch. Okay. And then git config. We also have to do the email as well. Global user.email. And mine is birchan@byui.edu. Okay. So now let's see what happens if I try to commit this again. And you can see it committed it just fine. But then some of you also were having issues when you tried to push. So if I hit these 3 buttons over here and I try to push, you'd see that blue bar going across the top here and it wasn't actually pushing it for you. Now, what I would say the first time that you do this, go ahead and type in here. If that didn't work in the graphical user interface on the side, after you commit, you can say git push -u, and then this will be the name of your remote and the name of your branch. So the name of the remote shows up to the left here when you type in git remote -v. And the name of the branch is either going to be master or main. And you can see that if you go to github.com, you can click on branches and you can see that my default branch is called master. And so right here, I'll say git push -u origin master. Now what this will do is it will set this as the default anytime I push. So from here on out, I would only ever have to type in git push and it would default to my origin remote, this guy, and the master branch. So I'm going to hit enter. And you can see that worked. What will likely happen with you, if you're not logged in yet, so like right here I put in an email, but it still didn't ask me for a password. It's likely that you'll see a little pop-up asking if you want to try to log in, or you'll see a message in here rather that asks if you want to log in. You can just hit enter when you see that message, and it should open up a web browser GitHub window. And you just hit the green authorize button, or 2 buttons, I think. And that will basically log you in to GitHub on your computer, and then you can push. This I put here just for your information. This git add and git commit will do the same thing as you typing in something here and hitting commit. But this is here as well if you want to do something from the terminal. This right here, if you type in git remote -v and you don't have a remote showing up like this was when I did it, what I would do is I would just come over here to my repository in GitHub, click on code, and I would copy this link right here. It's the exact same thing as this with a .git on the end. Okay. And then right here, I could say get remote add, and then I could say like origin for the name of my remote, and then I would just paste that URL and it would go ahead and add it. Then when I say get add or get commit, then I'm actually connected to a GitHub repository. But again, this push was causing a lot of students issues because when they tried to push over here for the first time, it wouldn't open up that browser window to have you log into GitHub, which is really important. But once you do this over here, once you push over here, it will kick off that login window. And once you do that, then you should be able to push over here, no problem, as many times as you want. You'll only have to do this once. Okay. So anyways, let's walk through that one more time. Let me see if I have some other changes here. I do have changes here. So this time I'm going to do it in my terminal again. So I'm going to say get status to see what changes there are. I want to add all these changes to my next commit. So I'll say get add dot, which will add all of those. And then I'll say get commit, working on lesson 3. And now you can see that color is gone because there aren't any changes in here anymore. I made the commit, which like saves it. And then I can say git push. Now again, with my remote, as long as I have my remote set, and at one point I said git push origin master to my master branch or to my main branch, then it'll do that by default. And so right here, I'll just say git push and it'll tell me where it's going and it'll go ahead and save that. Okay. So anyways, I hope that this helps. If you still are having issues, go ahead and set up a time to meet with me or send me a message. I'm happy to help you out, but I hope that this helps.